Hello, insiders, and welcome to another Wednesday edition of Facebook Live. Today, we will be talking about what happens after your claim's denied. What route can you take after your claim's denied? With me today is Coach Jeff Rogers. Sorry, Jeff. Today's topic is 3 options to consider if your VA claim is denied. Now, you know, as a rating specialist, one of the things I hated more than anything, in all honesty, was having to deny somebody who I felt really deserved to be service connected. And I say felt, but, you know, the evidence is there.
Right.
They're just missing one little piece, or they're missing a little bit of information. And it's a frustration that I know that a lot of rating specialists had. So just to kind of back up a little bit, I was an instructor for the VA also and taught other people how to be rating specialists. But just knowing the frustration that they felt also when they're rating claims. Sorry about that. Just what they felt when they were rating claims. It's just a terrible feeling, right? So in 2019, before 2019, the VA had what were called legacy appeals. Okay.
The AMA.
Yep. So those legacy appeals before that time, those legacy appeals could take 5, 6, 7 years. They were just drawn out for something as simple as a rating specialist forgot to do something, or a rating specialist missed something, right? So in 2019, actually, I think it started in 2017, but it took a little while. In 2019, the VA said, "Oh, why don't we change the appeals, the way the appeals are worked?" And that's when Congress came up with the Appeals Modernization Act, right? So with the Appeals Modernization Act, Jeff, are you familiar with the 3 lanes that we can go down now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 2 of the 3 we can guide and coach you with, right? It's going to be first your supplemental. Second will be your HLR route. And we'll touch a little bit on the BVA route. BVA, we as military folks like to acronymize things. BVA, STFU, I'm not going to repeat what that means, or, Semper Fi. So what is BVA? Board of Veterans Appeals. That's kind of where those legacies are now being held at, right? That's where you have to get a lawyer or something like that. So we'll touch a little bit on that, but the supplemental, we'll start with that one first. Daryl, I know you've gone through the process. I know everybody else in the chat section has gone through something and have a denial. A lot of the times when I get people coming to me, they've had a denial as well. So what's that first one you said was supplemental?
Right? Yeah, first one, supplemental route. So if you were previously denied for a condition, let's just go with, one of the big ones is mental health.
Okay.
Right? So if you filed a claim for PTSD, which is a pretty common claim to file for, if you filed for that and you were denied that condition, the first thing I would advise is you to get that rating decision and look at it and find out why you were denied. Typically, when you're denied for a claim, it's either because you didn't have a diagnosis or you didn't have a nexus, or that linking it to service, right? And it's all part of the Kaluza triangle, or as we call it here at BACI, the golden circle.
Sphere,
yeah. So either you didn't have that link or you didn't have that diagnosis. All right. And looking at your rating decision, the rating specialist will tell you right there, this claim is denied because we could not find a link between your current condition and your service. Right. So then that tells you what you need to get. So either you need to get a nexus statement from a credible source, or you need to get a diagnosis. Then once you get whatever's missing, then you would go back in, you take that VA form 20-0995, and you would submit a supplemental claim. The thing that makes it a supplemental claim is you're introducing new and relevant evidence. Okay. Now, back in the day, the VA used to call it new and material evidence, and they kind of changed it up with the AMA. So it's new and relevant evidence. Okay.
Remember that, everybody. Remember that. If you remember anything out of what we're talking about, supplemental examples we're using, words that we're using, I like to keep it short and sweet. New and relevant evidence, right? It has to be new and it has to be relevant. So if you did a statement before and then you did a new statement again and saying that it's a new one, but it was really the same one. That's not really new, and it's not really relevant. So work with your coach if you're with us, or if you're however, like whatever strategy you have, like with the method that we have, focus your firepower and work with your coach and get that taken care of.
Let's give some examples of new and relevant information. Okay, so a new independent medical opinion, also called an IMO, that is an example of new and relevant evidence, something that hasn't been submitted and considered before by the VA. Okay. New tests or medical examinations, right? LES statements can be used. And I know that my wife works for the company also, Jen, and she was actually able to get an LES statement of a veteran who served in a specific place, and it said it on that LES statement, that leave and earning statement. They received hazardous pay because they were there. So, you know,
you got to get inventive with it. I had a guy with jump log. He had a complaint, no diagnosis, complaint of. He had a jump log. He had information from his master sergeant. So a leadership role from an individual got him service connected because with that.
Yep. Letters home.
Oh, yeah.
Letters home use. So same deal, Vietnam veteran had letters that his girlfriend at the time had saved, and his mom had saved while he was in Vietnam, and used those because they put the APO address on there, and you're able to concede due to that. So there are different ways that you can, there's different new and material evidence, new and relevant evidence that you can use. All right. So some examples of when to use those, when to do the supplemental claim, previous denial, right? We talked about that. Your rating doesn't match your symptoms. You can provide additional medical evidence to support that your symptoms are more severe than your initial rating.
Like migraines. Migraines would be a good one if you're, what is it, two or three in the last 2 or 3 months. Right. You're only rated at like 10 or 30, but you should be up at the higher level, especially if it's impacting your work, something like that, maybe.
Right. Now, and I know a lot of people get confused. Okay, so I was service connected for PTSD at 30%. So I'm going to submit a supplemental claim because now you were granted. So it wouldn't be a supplemental claim at that point. It would be a increase.
Okay.
A claim for increase. So you wouldn't have to worry about the supplemental. Typically, we would use supplemental mostly in a case where you were previously denied and you need to submit new and relevant evidence in order to get that rating decision overturned. All right. So I get asked this a lot too. So if I filed an intent to file in January, my claim was decided in August. They denied me, but I submitted a supplemental claim in September. Will they back pay me all the way to January? And the answer is no. No. The way it works with a supplemental claim, the VA made a decision on the evidence of record. Okay. So once you submit new evidence, that's evidence that the VA hadn't considered in the previous decision. Okay. They will take that new evidence that they didn't have before, and your effective date would essentially be the date that you filed that supplemental claim. All right. So, and one of the nice things about that supplemental claim too is that if you have a little issue getting the information, like if you need to get a diagnosis or you need to get that nexus or an IMO or whatever it is you need to get, you have a year. You have up to a year from the date you receive that denial letter to do a supplemental claim. So you have a little bit of time in there to gather new information. But it's kind of like Jeff Finney said on here, always have an intent to file on record.
Always.
Best advice you can get. Always have an intent to file on record. And if you're not sure if you have one or not, call the VA at 1-800-827-1000 and ask them. Okay, ask them if you have one. If you don't, tell them you want to file one.
I'm 100% P&T. And I have one every year just because since I live south of the border outside of the country, I have specific considerations with another program that I need to have that intent to file if I so choose to keep getting care and stuff added to it. So yeah, it's 100% important to always have that on the ready in your main pack.
Right on. So we talked about supplemental claim. So let's say, what happens if you got a rating decision and you submitted evidence showing that you should be at a certain level, but the VA you feel the VA underrates you, okay? Or they denied you and you feel like they got it wrong. What's your option to do then?
Higher level, HLR, higher level review. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you would definitely want to do a higher level review. Now, with a higher level review, unlike the supplemental claim where you can submit new and relevant evidence, higher level review, you cannot submit any evidence at all. The VA will assign it to a higher level reviewer, and usually these are people who have a lot more experience in what they're doing. Especially recently with the VA hiring all kinds of new RVSRs, or rating veteran service representatives. These are people with more experience, have been doing the job for a long time. Having those eyes look at your claim, a lot of times you can get that claim overturned, and instead of a denial, getting that grant, right? Or instead of being at 30% for mental health, they can grant you 70% for mental health, or 50% for mental health, or 100% for mental health. So they can make changes just based on the evidence of record, which is, as opposed to having to wait 5, 6, 7 years for that decision, it's a lot faster route, right? There is a third route that you can go. It kind of puts you back in that BVA, the Board of Veterans Appeals route. But even that, they've simplified that a little bit too, so it's not as cumbersome of a tasking, and it's moving a lot quicker. And that's called the third and final option would be the BVA. All right. Okay. Now with this option, you have 3 sub options, all right, or dockets. You can do a direct docket, which is a review of all the current evidence by a judge, a VA law judge, right, or a VA judge. It's similar to a higher level review, so you can't submit any new evidence. They just review the evidence there, all right. There's an evidence docket, all right, and that's a review of your file plus any evidence that you submit, and that one's similar to a supplemental claim. All right, and then they have a hearing docket, and that's the opportunity to present your case directly to a judge, and you can introduce more evidence during and after the meeting. So you're able to actually sit in front of a judge and have a conversation with the judge. So those are the 3. So the 0995 is for the supplemental claim. The 0996 is for the HLR, and then the VA form 10182.
The nod,
is for the VBA, the Veterans Appeals. Okay, Jeff, it's been an absolute pleasure teaching with you today, working with you.
As well. Semper Fi, brother. Thank you.
All right, and for all of those veterans out there, the path you take is your choice. If this company would have been around when I was going through the frustration of the VA, I definitely would have used this company. I definitely would have. There's a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of resources here. Everybody have a great day or not. The choice is yours. Make the most out of it. All right.
See you guys.